Good morning. So, before getting into today's class, let us recall the topics that we have discussed in the last session. The last session, we were talking about two most important things, that is, failures with MapReduce. So, when I talk about failures with MapReduce, again it is MapReduce 1 and MapReduce 2. So MapReduce 1 is the classic MapReduce, and MapReduce 2 is the MapReduce with YARN. And the difference is that scalability. Scalability is achieved better in MapReduce 2 when comparing with MapReduce 1. So this is what we have discussed in the last session, and I'm repeating it like again. Anatomy of MapReduce. So make sure that you're knowing the difference between anatomy of MapReduce. I mean the workflow in MapReduce 1 and workflow in MapReduce 2. Okay. And in today's session, we will be talking about Shuffle and Sort. Shuffle and Sort is not a program. So what is the logic behind Shuffle and Sort? How does MapReduce performs this Shuffle and Sort? And the second part, we'll be talking about task execution. So these are the two topics that which we will be discussing today. Okay. So let me give a small overview on shuffle and sort. So as the name itself tells, like shuffle and sort, we are going to shuffle something and sort out something. And the idea behind is like if you take the same map reduce example, which you have discussed earlier, like if I give you a task to find the frequency of word counts from a given storybook. So what you will be doing is first you will be start mapping. You will be like partitioning the pages. Like first 10 pages can be given for a candidate A. Second 10 pages can be given for candidate B. Next 10 pages can be given for candidate C. This is what is called map. And within this map, and within this map, for example, like in the map one, you have divided first 10 pages to candidate A. So if E requires the map to done in that particular 10 pages, then that also can be done. You can do partition within a partition. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So where you will be allowed to do partition within a partition. That is called map phase. So once map phase is done, the next phase is where you are going to split, right? So once map is done, next phase is where you are going to split. And here in MapReduce, we have two terms. One is called split and second one is called spill. So I will be telling the meaning of spill in the next slide. Okay. So that is what split. Second stage starts split. So in the second stage, once this mapping is done, then you will be trying to relate. Then you will be trying to combine the words. So once that phase is called splitting phase. Once that is done, you will be moving on to combiner before the reducer. Combiner, what it will be doing is, suppose we have 10 set of students like candidate A, candidate B, totally 10 students. All this has to be combined so that at last you will be getting a single reduced value. And in this case, you can see the output of map phase will be given as input for the combiner phase, right? And if you take as a iteration, so first iteration you will be getting the first set of values, second iteration you will be getting the second set of values, like transferring the map output to the reducer input. That is called shuffle. Okay, I'm repeating it. And the process that happens between the output, whatever the map we have done. Map means, just I'm telling you that map means like if you have divided a task for a 10 number of students, so where each and every one will be trying to count the number of frequency of words, that is called map. Like where you will be mapping your problem to a set of candidates or to a set of objects, that is called map. And output of that map which is given as input to the reducer, that is called shuffle phase. It is called shuffle, and that is the meaning of shuffle. And then what is mean by sort? So once when you talk about a reducer, once when you talk about final reducer, once if you see combiner, what combiner does is combiner combines all the values which is resulted from mapping. So thereby it is going to sort with respect to key. Sort with respect to key means, for example, if you get frequency of word counts, you can do that with respect to alphabetical order, or you can do that with respect to higher occurrences at the top and lower occurrences at the bottom. It can be of any order. That is called sort. As a result, you can see there will be a single word with a value. That means number of times it is repeated, and it is what is called shuffle and sort. Okay, shuffle is nothing. Shuffle is something like the process that happens between where that process means whatever the output that you are getting from map is that you are feeding as input to the reducer combiner. That is called shuffle. And where I mean the blocks, whatever the map blocks are there, those blocks will be shuffled before getting into reducer block. That is called shuffle. I hope you can understand this. Okay. So where the set of blocks in a cluster will be get shuffled before getting reduced. I mean before getting reduced, the phase happens is called combined. So it has the meaning between reduce phase, sorry, shuffle phase and sort phase in map reduce. It is something like if you play a cards where you'll be shuffling your cards. At last you can see one or two cards as a, I mean like one will be winning the match, right? It is something like that shuffle. And here we talk about two major things. One is the map side, other is the reduced side. So what happens in the map side and what happens in the reduced side? So that is the most two important things. See, when the map function starts producing the output, the things will be not simply written into disk. What does it will be doing is, instead of that, you can tell something like where it will be trying to write something in a buffer. So using writable objects, we have seen about writable objects in module 3, also like Hadoop streaming and Hadoop pipes. So let me take a small example. So treat that we have a circular memory buffer where you are trying to write the output, and by default the buffer size is 100 MB. This is default value is 100 MB. If you want, you can redefine it, you can enlarge it, you can scale it. So as per your requirement, you can modify it according to your problem. Okay, and it also can be changed. That also can be changed with the property called io.sort.mb. That is the property which holds where you can change the size of the default buffer. Okay, and I, like I told, I will be talking about spills, right? So treat that, for example, we are trying to write some value to the buffer. Okay, even buffer has a size limit, right? Buffer has memory size limit. And you know what is the meaning of threshold? Threshold is the maximum value. For example, number of students who can be occupied in a class. If it is 40, the threshold value is set to 40. More than that, it can't be occupied. That is called threshold value. And here the threshold is 100 MB. And if you're trying to write some more values into your buffer, which exceeds the which exceeds the memory limit, or which exceeds the memory area, then that is called spills. Sorry, that is called spills. Spills. So spills is something like where a mapper output exceeds the amount of memory which was allocated for the map reduce task. Okay, so when we are trying to write some more data to the buffer, when it is filled, that is called spills. And what happens is, for example, if a buffer is 100 MB, it is filled. Now I'm trying to write some more data into that buffer. That is called as spills. And what happens is now a new spill will be created. Okay, a new spill will be created, and that spill will be allowed to execute. And when I create a spill and when I execute it, I will be having two things. One is called a norm process and one is called spill. And how these both executes, that we'll be discussing in task execution. I mean at the end of today's session. Okay. And as of now, you can see a diagram that is showing you shuffle and sort in map reduce. And there you can see two blocks. First block is talking about map task, and second block is talking about reduce task. So when the input value is given, then you're going to map the problem. That is map. Once mapping is done, you are getting into buffer in memory. That is where we talk about partitioning, where we start partitioning. So there you can see partition, sort, and spill to disk. So nothing but partition, you are dividing. That is what. Let us take the same problem, like finding the frequency of counts from a given textbook or from a given storybook. So partitioning means where are you dividing, like first 10 pages for one student, and second 10 pages for the other one, and third 10 pages for the other one. That is called partition. That is the meaning of partition. If you are getting any queries, or if you have any doubts, just you can post it in chat. We shall discuss at the end. Okay. So once this partition is done, then it is going to merge that, where you can see it will be get placed like a buffer. It will be just like a pool of queues where you can have set of object can be get placed on it. So from where it is going to fetch. And what is mean by copy phases? See, here we have one phase is called copy phase. So what copy phase does? For example, like once this map task is being done, what the reduce task starts is, the reduce task starts copying the output as soon as it completes. That is called copy phase of the reduce task. It is something like copying here and pasting the data over there. That is the meaning of it, copy phase. And you can see sort phase and reduce phase. Sort phase is where you will be doing certain sort with the help of key. Okay. And again I'm repeating, you will be doing with the help of key. Sorting can be done with the key. So whenever you talk about a map reduce, always we will be talking about key value pairs. Okay. So always we treat and we consider and we process with key and value. Without that, we will not be moving further for the problems. Okay. So once it is done, then I need to merge it so that I can get a single result as like in a reduce stage. So this is the representation of shuffle and sort in map reduce. Okay. So each map task has a circular memory buffer. That's what we have discussed. And I hope you know the meaning of spills. And here this spills are written in round robin fashion. And the reason to talk about round robin is we have talked about one scheduling algorithm called FIFO in yesterday's class. Just give me a minute. We talked about one scheduling algorithm called FIFO, and it supports no preemption. I mean, once the task is entered for execution, it will be completing its task without any interleaving. But if you take round robin, it supports the interleaving. So for the given time period like 2 milliseconds or 10 milliseconds, the process will be allowed to execute only for that particular time period. Even though if it is completing or not completing, it need to come out from the queue, right? So it need to come out from the execution. So thereby where it will be allowed again to execute. So here spills are nothing but an additional, you can also call it as like overloaded. Okay. Once if your buffer limit gets overload, all the task, whatever the job that you are trying to assign, all the task will be getting into a spill. That is called spill. Then that will be allowed to execute in a fashion. So let me take like I have a process and I have a spill. Spill is nothing but like the additional things that whatever comes out excess of threshold value, right? So if I have two things, so both these are getting executing now, and treat that spell is not a duplicate of it. Okay. So when this process when either process and second one is spills, and if any of one is going to get execute first, Either it can be a process or it can be a spill. If the process executes first, then spill can be aborted. If spill executes first, then the process can be aborted. This mechanism is called speculative execution. Okay, I'm repeating it. This mechanism is called speculative execution. So thereby you can guarantee that both spill and process is not going to replicate, is not going to duplicate, where only one will be allowed to execute further. We're not going to allow both to process at the same time. Okay, that is the meaning of speculative execution. And also we shall talk about the same when you move for task execution. Okay, so let us see the things that happen on the reduce side. So still what was seen about map side, and now let us talk about other side called reduce side. The first foremost important thing is the output file, whatever it being returned as output from the mapper phase. That will be get resided on the local disk of the machine for reducer process. Furthermore, you can talk like what the reducer does is it is going to map the output for its particular partition. So if I have 10 partitions, I'm going to combine it from partition 1, partition 2, partition 3. At a single stage, I'm not going to combine all the 10 partitions into one, right? See, if I have 10 partitions at a single phase, I mean like at a single stage, I'm not going to combine all the 10 iterations into single iteration. First, step by step, first I will be combining first and second partitioning into one, and third and fourth partition into one, and fourth and fifth partition into one. To be simple, if I have 10 partitions, okay, if I have 10 partitions, further next I will be getting 5 partitions, then I will be getting 3 or 2 partitions, then I will be getting a single partition. This is how it works. If I have 10 set of queues, I like where the task is being allotted. Okay, so from the 10 set of queues, you can see that 10 will be converted to 5. I mean, which will be bundled together 1 and 2, 3 and 4, something like that. Once that is done, then after that, that will be again combined to form a single queue. At last, you will be getting a resulting single value with the key. So this is how it happens. That is called reduce phase, and that is why we call a combiner is an intermediate phase between this mapper. I mean between the splitter and reducer. That's why we are not moving directly from mapper to reducer. We have something called a combiner. Okay, that is the difference between combiner and reducer. Combiner is the middle one. Like if you have 10 partitions, I will be further. I will be getting 5 partitions from this. After merging this 10 partitions, it will be resulting into 5. That is called combiner. At last, you can see a single value that is called a reducer. Okay. So this is what happens in reduce phase. When you talk about reduce phase, you should talk about merge phase. That is what we're talking about merge. Let us take a small example. See, in this slide, you can see one example. Like if there were 50 map outputs and the merge factor was 10, right? The merge factor is 10. It has given 50 map outputs. So by default, how many rounds you need to merge it is 5 rounds. By 5 rounds, you can merge it to get a single value. Okay. So thereby you will be getting 5 intermediate files. Even if you take map phase, so when the given input you are splitting in map phase, thereby you will be splitting your problem. Even that is not happening in a single iteration. I mean that is not happening or not done with a single partition. You will be having a set of partitions, so whereby each partition will be doing the things in a parallel manner. Okay, I hope now you will be getting the things. So this is what is called reduce phase, map phase, sort phase, shuffle, and merge. Okay, so it is about shuffle and sort. Okay, so shuffle and sort is a logic or the idea behind how the map reduce works. So how the shuffle is being, where the shuffle is being performed, where the art is being performed. To be simple, shuffle is done on the map side, and the sort is done on the reduce side. Okay, and now the part is task execution. Okay, so as I told you something about speculative execution. Before that, let us talk about task execution. Like we have discussed about anatomy of a map job, sorry, anatomy of a map reduced job. So thereby we have some entities called job scheduling, job execution, task assignment. It is also same something again like a task assignment, which will be talking about the same thing. Like let us take one thing like task execution environment. It is also called TEE. And in this map reduce phase, we have two things. One is called map task, and the other one is called reduce task. So, what the map task does and what does the reduce task doing is the map task will be discovering the name of the file which it is processing, and reduce task will be trying to find out the number of tasks, I mean number of attempt it is trying to find, it is trying to do. So these are the two things in task execution environment. I mean map task and the reduce task. And we can configure the properties of this map task and reduce task with the APIs. I mean with APIs like Apache, Ambari, Yarn. So these are few APIs which you can use with Hadoop. So what these APIs will do is this API will be acting as like a interface. So thereby you can see if your map, if your partition has 10 set of blocks, and I mean like a 10 set of nodes, how many number of nodes are currently in execution? How many number of nodes are completed as task? Thereby you can know the status. Status means something like either it is alive, or it is dead, or it is running, or it is stopped or suspended. Well, I mean like the response from node manager to the resource manager, the response that what is being transmitted from node manager to resource manager is called heartbeat. Okay, once the heartbeat get fails, you can treat that the node manager will not further respond. When the node manager fails to respond further, so thereby it is assumed that it is no more alive. It will not be no more sending the heartbeats to the resource manager. So resource manager will be acting as like a master, and this node manager will be acting as like a slave. Okay, so it is about task execution, and you can see some small methods or task environment properties like map dot job ID. So what kind of data it is returning like string, and map dot TID means task ID. And as I told, two things: one is map task, one is reduce task. The number of attempts that it is trying to do that can be done with reduced task, and map dot task dot partition. So these are properties which you can configure with your system configurations once if you start using this map reduce and Hadoop installation on your machines. And even when you do with Hadoop on your machine, you should have some configuration settings. It is something like, for example, if you use Java, JVM on your laptop, or it can be a computer. So once if you do it, what does that next you want to do is you need to set up path variables, right? You need to set up environment path variables, or else if you're not doing it, then you should execute the program only where the Java is being located. I mean only in the current working location. That is alone possible. You will not be able to access from the other paths. So you need something called path setting path environment variables. Similarly, here too we have some configuration settings, but it is a step more than that. Okay, it is not simple as like the other things. So next we talk about speculative execution. So before this, let us talk about speculative execution. As I told you, speculative execution. Let us treat that we have set of tasks. We have n number of tasks, and let me take, we have 10 tasks, and the 10 tasks are being processed in your Hadoop system. Okay, all the 10 processes are being processed. In case if there are any crashes or collision, like there any problem with the hardware degradation or software misconfiguration, which leads the process to get delayed. In this 10 process, let me take fifth process or sixth process is being delayed with some uh, misconfiguration settings or with some internal problems. Then what Hadoop tries to do is Hadoop will not be able to detect the reason why it is being get detected. The reason why it is getting delayed. If I have 10 set of process and if one or two is getting delayed, but as a result you can see even if it is delaying, it is resulting. Okay, if you task to complete the task in 2 minutes, as a reason of delay, it is completing the task in 5 minutes, but it is completing the task. That is what Hadoop tries to do. Okay, it will not be trying to diagnose what is the reason behind the failure of this. What is the alternate it can do is Hadoop tries to fix this slow running tasks instead of detecting what it is happening in this. What it does is when it identifies the task something which is slower than the other, then a equivalent task will be emerged for that task. It is called backup. See, I'm repeating it like treat that you have 10 process. In the 10 process, let me take process 3 and process 4 is getting delayed due to some, it may be of some hard software configuration or misconfiguration problem, or it can be of anything. So until that process 3 and 4 is getting completed, the entire task will not be get completed, right? But later in a few point of time, that also will be completing. So as a result, you can see all the process has done its task. Okay, so I need to fix some solution for this slow running task. Okay, and what is the alternative solution is, and to fix this slow running task. So whenever a task is getting slow, what you can do is you can launch. I mean, you can start a new process which is same equivalent to that process. Okay, so as an example, I have taken process 3 and process 4 is slow running. So what I need to do is I need to have an alternative process which is similarly equal to that process 3 and process 4. And here the problem is what happens when both the duplicate and the original process reaches at the result. Then that again getting an issue, right? So what is the solution is, if we have two things, one is the equivalent task, one is the original task. That is equivalent is a backup of this original. Okay, so both are nearly going to be same. And if the original reaches the destination, backup can be terminated. Or if backup reaches the destination, the original can be terminated, irrespective of anything. Okay, it need not that either the original process should be at the end or the backup should be terminated. It is not like that. As a result, whatever the process which reaches the destination, which completes its job with priority one, I mean, like which is doing first step, then the second process can be terminated. Okay, so process 3, process 4, I have one backup process. Let me take as process 3a. I have one backup process for process 4. Let me take as process 4a. So as a result, the process 3a is running, 4a is running. If 3a executes first before 3, then 3 can be terminated. 3a will be treated as 3. Is it clear? And I have 4a. 4a is, I mean, 4 has completed its execution. Then later 4a is doing its task. So what I can do is I can terminate 4a, I can treat 4. Okay. So this concept is something called as speculative execution of task. Okay. That is called speculative execution of task. And the last part of module for us, map reduce types and formats. See, map reduce types and format means like we are not going to talk about the types of map reduce. Map reduce basically we talk about MR1, MR2. That's all. And the types means what are the input types and what are the output types and what are the different formats that you can use as an input into your system, and what are the output formats that you are expected to get from your system. That is map reduce types and format. And this map reduce types and formats is again a big chapter. It is, I mean, in syllabus it is a topic, but in textbook it is one of the chapter, map reduce types and formats. So where you will be talking about the map reduce type means various input types and various output types and various formats that is being supported in input and output in map reduce. So we'll be talking about that in map reduce types and formats. Okay. So before getting into this module, let me know, are there any complications or are there any difficulties in the previous topics? And even yesterday, I told you, like, I asked you to have a look on the previous year question papers and see to that you are capable to answer for all the questions. Have you done it? Your microphones are unmuted. If you have anything to discuss, let's discuss, or else let us continue with this map reduce types and formats. And regarding materials, Module 3 materials is there in Google Classroom. You can download it. And materials related to Module 4 will be uploaded once after completing Module 4. Mostly we will be completing Module 4 in next 2 to 3 classes. Like where one class we'll be talking about map reduce input types and formats. In one class we'll be talking about map reduce output types and formats. Okay, just take 1 or 2 minutes and let me know, are there any topics to be revised or do you have any queries with the previous topics? And it is more important to remember the concepts like in module 4. One is what is map reduce 1, what is map reduce 2. And when I talk about anatomy of map reduce, I'm talking about map reduce workflow. That is the meaning of it. And when I talk about workflow, am I talking about MR1 or am I talking about MR2? Okay, MR1 is classic map reduce. Am I talking about classic map reduce or am I talking about yarn map reduce? That you should be known. And next part is entities. When I talk about entities, almost this MR1 and MR2 has 4 entities: client, task manager, task job tracker, task tracker, DFS. And here it is resource manager, node manager, MR application master, DFS again. So 4 entities. You need to know how to relate this and that. That is first most important thing in module 4. And second thing is, what are the failures are there in MapReduce 1 and what are the failures and how those failures are overcome by MapReduce 2. I mean, there are certain limitations with MapReduce 1 and those limitations has been overcome by MapReduce 2. Yes, and how it is being overcome. So what are the advantages of MapReduce 2 and what is not there in MapReduce 1 that you should be knowing. Okay, I mean the ultimate goal is scalability, which is not there in MapReduce 1, which is there in MapReduce 2. And failures in MapReduce 1 and failures in MapReduce 2. And next to that is shuffle and sort. And shuffle and sort, I mean, in the past 1 2 years question paper, there was a question asked from shuffle and sort phase. Okay, so you are not going to write a program for this shuffle and sort. We're just going to have a logic diagram, I mean a block diagram, which represents the difference between map phase and the reduce phase. And thereby you need to illustrate and write what is called shuffle, what is called sort, and how this is happened and how this is happening in map phase and the reduce phase. So here the most two important subtopic is map. One is the map side, another one is the reduce side, and the next part is task execution. So when I talk about task execution, I need to talk about task execution environment, and second, I need to talk about speculative execution. So these are two executions under task execution. So at most, the last topic of module 4 is map reduce types and formats. Okay. So map reduce, what are the different input and output formats in map reduce? Let us see one by one. So since we have left with only 10 minutes, we will be having a small glance of this input formats, and map reduce input format we shall start in the next class. Okay. So MapReduce as a simple model of data type. So you can see in this slide map k1 comma v1. It is called key one comma value 1. And this k1 can also be written as key in, KEYIN. It is up to you either to use key in or k1, but both represent the same meaning. Okay, I can write as k1 comma v1, or I can write as key in comma v1, or I can write as key in 1 comma v1. V can also be written as value 1. Okay, so it is up to you to use either k1 or to use v1 or to use k key in or to use value in. Okay, so key in or value 1. So this k1 comma v1 is called a pair, right? Whenever we talk about map reduce, we are always repeating like key value pair, key value pair, key value pair. For example, if I want to write a name, and then I will be writing your name. Roll number, I will be writing your roll number. Branch, I will be writing your name of the branch. Year, I will be writing the year. Duration, this is called key, and whatever the corresponding value that you write to it, it is called value, and that is called a key value pair. Okay, and here you can see map k1 comma v1 implies list k2 comma v2. It is the most general form of using this key and value in map reduce. You can have a list which has a set of values, again key and values, that let us see in the next slides. And reduce, you can see k2 comma list of v2. What it is doing is it is combining. Reducing means where all the set of values, for example list of v2, let me take this list as set of 20 values, and from that if I go for reduce, for example, see if I take like a set of students of MTech second sem, I can see total 5 students. If I write name, key will be same, but value will be different. So first name, first student, second name, second student. And if I take USN number, USN number will be the key, but the numbers will be different, like SES 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. This 5 values will be placed under a list. Let me take V2. Okay, it is value. And this side, I have one thing called USN. It is a unique ID, and I'm not going to merge it another. Okay, so that is what you can see. Key as K2, that is USN number. List of V2. List of V2 means you have a set of 5 values. So altogether, you're going to merge it. Altogether, you're going to reduce it. That is list of V2, where your key will be a single one, values will be entity. Value will be N. That is the meaning of it. If I take universities in Karnataka or universities in Bangalore, the key will be university. But if you look into values, you can see different. In number of universities in Bangalore and Karnataka. That is key and value, and that's why it is written as K2 comma list of V2, which implies list of K3 comma V3. And when I talk about combine function, so combine function is the one which acts in between map phase and the reduce phase. Okay. So combiner phase is the intermediate phase between the map phase and the reduce phase. And this K1 V1 list of K2 V2, it is something that we relate with the logic. Okay, it is not like formulas that it should be same or it should be modified. It is not something like that. So whatever that things that you treat as like a key and value, accordingly you can modify. Okay, so combined phase, what it does is, again in combined phase we have a single key and again list of v2, which further gets you list of k2 comma v2. Okay, and for to understand all these things you can take a but simple example like counting the frequency of words from the textbook, or you can go for counting the frequency of words in a given line of text or in a given text file. Any examples that will make you to understand the things, I mean the background idea of things in map and reduce phases. Okay, so these are a set of input types which are supported in the input format. I mean it is not clear, but I can share you the slides, I can share you the textbook where you can see, for example, let me tell you, input types are set by input format. Okay, and here the first one is map reduce job, which talks about the map reduce job. I mean map reduce dot job dot input format dot class. So it is the one which supports for the input format. When I talk about input format, it will be supporting only in input type. You can see at last three columns. One is input type, second intermediate, third output. So input type which talks only with map before the map phase. Intermediate, it is where we talk about combiner. Output is the one where we talk about reducer. And what are the set of methods that will be coming under this input type? And what are the set of methods that will be coming under this intermediate type? And what are the set of methods that will be coming under output type? That is shown in the table. You can have a look. You can refer that in your textbook. Okay, and here a small program is given, and what this program is doing is, and this is an example for a default map reduce job. So this is what happens when you run MapReduce without setting a proper mapper or reducer function in a program. And to illustrate that, this is an example. This program is written, and this program does not have any proper MapReduce setting. I mean, there is no proper there is no proper mapper or reducer phase in this program. And it is this program is to understand why what is the need of writing mapper phase and reducer phase in a program. Then how come the program can be further improved? Okay, so then thereby you can know the meaning of this mapper phase and the reducer phase. And when you see this program, it is starting with the public int and string arguments. If arguments length not equal to 2, system dot error. And the important thing starts here. Job equal to new job, get configuration. So thereby you are going to get the class. Then you can see file dot input format, file dot output format. And if I take some input, for example, like the same one finding temperature in a given recorded in a year, this program will be resulting your values something like garbage value, something you can see as like a garbage value. You can see the output will be shown in a text file. In the text file, you can see hardly some 500 to 1000 lines will be there in the result. And again, to understand from it, you need to write a separate program. Okay. The other thing what you can do is, to make this to be simple, you can use input format class. Second, you can use mapper class. You can use combiner class. You can use reducer class. So thereby you can also set partitioner class. So thereby you can see your result is also will be given in a proper manner. And you can reduce these codes further into fewer steps. Fewer step means first job dot set mapper class, job dot set partitioner class, job dot set number, reducer, task, job dot set, output, format, the class. Only with these four formats you can complete the entire task. Okay, that example we shall discuss in the next class. I think mostly the next class will be on Monday, and there is no class by tomorrow. And there is one information for you. I mean, as per timetable, you have cloud computing class from 12 to 12:50. Am I right? But just give a minute.